Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran. I'm here with Yanzi, and today is a day we are talking comic news with all the writer strike going on. Is anybody talking about what if comics went on strike? What would that even look like? Has there ever been a comic book union? Well, there is now with Image Comics, but let's not get into that. But let's talk about what if there was a strike in the American comic book industry? Would it be felt by retailers or fans? But before we get into that, I would like to point out that we do have our own independent crowdfunding comic right now up. Please go check it out. Axcend Level Up. The link to it is down below. 3 video gamers go into a virtual reality game, and when they log out, they activate as their avatars, bringing their special abilities and pursuit of XP into the real world. But let's get back to the news. What if there was a writer's strike in the American comic book industry? What would that look like?
Well, that's not too far-fetched thing about, you see. Well, first of all, the fact is that comic book writers and TV writers, they're kind of sort of the same thing. They're creating entertainment. So why won't the one group strike seeing the others? Now, the whole reason why WGA went on strike was mainly because of the whole sharing of revenue issues. Apparently, there are previous contracts which kind of predates all the streaming service stuff. So they don't take into account where all the rewatchers and all this happen on, say, Netflix and all that. That doesn't account for their residuals. And as a result, you see them making joke residual revenues on these things, like, 89 cents for like millions of hours of replay, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the American comic book industry, the creators are in the same situation. Creators, we're talking about artists, writers, all these people who are in there, not just the writers, but also the artists. They're responsible for shaping things like the entire MCU. Like you could technically say, if it weren't for Brian Hitch's visions, you won't really have MCU from phase 1 to phase 3. That's kind of how you get certain things like that. But people like Brian Hitch, I don't see him riding around in like a Cadillac, living in a $5 million mansion or anything like that. You would think he would get some kind of benefit from them using some of his ideas, right? Unfortunately, no. Which is why Image Union tried to do a comic creator union, but it turns out it's not a comic creator union, it's a comic employee union, like guys. So we're at this stage whereby maybe comic creators have to say, hey, DC, Marvel, Image, or whoever that's employing us, we made so much money for you, especially in the transmedia stuff. How about giving us a slice of the pie?
Right. And this is a thing that with American comic book creators, you basically are making comics in one end, but all your comics are now source material for movies and stuff. So it's really weird Hollywood accounting that really benefits the parent companies and all of this, that they argue we pay you for comic peanuts because comics makes peanuts. So when it's movie stuff, you don't get any of that big Hollywood cheddar. That's for us, the studio that paid you for comics as we make movies off your source material. Anyways, so about the strike, why would that even happen? Why has there never been a comic book union before in the American comic book industry? Well, because it's real simple. Comics used to run off a meritocracy, and they would just probably, if somebody wanted to unionize, they would probably just get that guy a raise and break up his ambitions to form a union. Today, people are making some of the lowest rates ever. Now, to me, I was thinking about this in my head. One main reason that a lot of creators aren't probably trying to go on strike is they know it's a fruitless venture. The American comic book industry, the Marvel, DC, stuff like that, would just go hire some Brazilians. Nothing against Brazilians, but that is true. A lot of talent, especially the people that put in the most time and effort on a comic book, writers, is artists, and a lot of artists can be basically farmed from other countries that make a lot less money. So those people are not going to care about an American comic book strike. They're just going to take your job for less. It's very ill-advised. First off, that I'm not advising any creators go out there and try to form a union and go on strike. But I'm saying, what if? Let's just pretend that all comics could be shut down. What would that mean? And this wouldn't be like the shut down pencils down before with COVID and Diamond shutting down. It wouldn't look like that. So what would happen? Well, Marvel and DC would be forced to do something that they haven't done, and they've always had this bullet in the chamber, and that's to go backwards. That's to go backwards and print single issues. Go back to the Chris Claremont X-Men run, the John Byrne Chris Claremont run, or the John Byrne Superman run at DC Comics. All these treasures that you guys have on your trade, your collected editions, your omnibus that like you see behind me, I'm buying. You would go grab those, bust those things up and put them and just reissue those same print files. At Marvel DC, these companies have remastered those pages. They have them, they're libraried up, they're digital copies, they're omnibus copies. They've been scanning and remastering this, and they are locked and loaded to go backwards if they have to. Now, the reason that Marvel and DC don't is very peculiar. And why I say that is because there's been some issues, some facsimile issues that Marvel and DC have put out, and even articles where Dan DiDio has admitted that sometimes their facsimile issues actually outsell their new comics. And he saw that as a publisher as a problem. Why is it a problem? Because that actually says a lot about your audience, but your product also that you're producing and how weak and pathetic it is. And, you know, take some vitamins, make better comics, guys. I guess the reality is at this vulnerable time in creators and Hollywood going down, and a lot of creators are like, well, where's my 5 minutes of fame in Hollywood? Where's my Hollywood money? I thought eventually I would get paid. And a lot of creators are finding out you're not getting invited to premieres. You're not getting royalty checks, all of this stuff as the studio made out like a bandit. Now people are starting to say, well, where's mine? I don't know. They're not getting it. But I think that if there was a strike and if Marvel and DC did go backwards and actually reprint old comics, my prediction is it would have helped the American comic book industry. And people could say, that Shane, that's crazy. Why would stop making new comics help the industry? Well, by reprinting the old stuff. The old stuff is something that a lot of creators have been, or creators and fans, mind you, have been actually seeking and paying crazy aftermarket prices, or buying and paying crazy omnibus prices for. And omnibus prices are only reasonable to drop $120 to $90 on the comic collection because the single issues are worth so much now in back issues. So if Marvel and DC was to go reprint their old library as single issues again, you know, I'm just paying a standard cover price. And I think it would bring more customers in. And I think it would help grow the month-to-month comic sales for Marvel and DC, because they would be producing for the first time in what I would say like maybe 6 years, a solid, good run of comics again as a company. And I can only pretend and bet that that would have an effect on the market itself.
My take on this is that, well, I mean, reprints are going to be great and all, but let's hope they don't try to modernize the reprints or print one of those disclaimers that they say, this was a product of its time, and we at Marvel here do not condone blah, 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 blah. Because, you know, hey, SJW's got the SJW, and they got to prove their value to the company.
And again, guys, if you guys will, please go over, check out Axcend, hit like, subscribe, leave me a comment below. What do you think about this radical idea of printing backwards, not forwards? And if you guys will, stay tuned for this awesome trailer for my great new comic, Axcend Level Up.
I dream of a world carefully crafted, beautifully flawed. This is Axcend. In this game of life, there is one thing that determines a victor. A player's ability to grow. A player's ability to evolve. A player's ability to survive. My name is Dog. Choose to play. Choose to upgrade. Choose to level up. Choose to Axcend.